All right, so since I was just messing with some stuff with pivots, I did want to go over some other things involving pivots and how you can use them to model things effectively or make your life easier in the long run. So it's talking about how pivots could be used in this case for snapping these to the center of, or snapping the numbers to the center of dice. The other few places I really like using pivots are for things like chests or drawers. So in this case, I'll just make, pretend that this is a door, I guess. It's glorious. And I'm just going to make a really crappy wall to go around this door. It's going to be really, really ugly, guys. It is a wall or something that kind of goes around a door. And I'm just using G to repeat the extrude command over and over and over again. Great, we have a door with an ugly wall. So this is all fine and dandy. Right now the pivot is just sort of in the middle of the door. So, I mean, if you want a revolving door, like that's kind of great. If you want a normal door that opens from the side, it's gonna be really annoying to have to go through and like move the door and then push it back up to the wall like that and then like move it, and that's gonna be like a whole nightmare that you're not gonna want to deal with every time you want to open the stupid door. Alright, so instead what we're gonna do is change the pivot of the object. And to do that, you just press and hold down D. D is probably highlighted somewhere down there. And it's gonna basically change the gimbal, and you can rotate this wherever, or like move this wherever you want in your Maya scene, and this is going to be where your object moves from. So if I move it out here to the middle of nowhere, you can see the door is just sort of flying randomly through space. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the door. In this case, what I usually do is hold down D, and then V is going to access the vertex snapping up here. And it's basically going to allow you to snap the pivot of your door to a vertex. So there's there's grid snapping, there's curve snapping, there's a bunch of different kinds of those. But now we can just sort of open the door rationally, and it's delightful. So I usually recommend, paying attention to where your pivots are. It can be kind of helpful for modeling. The other thing you can do is use the positioning of pivots to make, I kind of use it for like radial designs, I guess, is what I would mostly use it for. So if we stick the pivot of the object out here, and then you go into something like duplicate special, and actually pay attention to the settings you're doing. So I'm just going to rotate this, say, 45 degrees on the Y, hit apply, and it's going to give you a perfect circle of donuts that all radiate out from a central point. So you can use pivots, like, I guess, different ways modeling. Mostly what I use them for is doors. And then if you, keep all your pivots and stuff logically centered, you can just sort of very easily, like, open a door or close a door for effect. Also good for, like, treasure chests and stuff like that. Also important for rigging when that comes to be a thing later. But, yes. And the other thing, so this is, like, mostly, I guess, sort of bonus thing. That was pretty much my bit on pivots, is do pay attention to them. They are helpful. So what you can do is, if you wanted like a hinge, for example, on this door, be like, boop, hinge, crappy hinge. And I'm gonna make a really broken, awful looking hinge, and say like half of this is going to be attached to the door itself, yay, and the other half of this is going to be attached to the wall. So what you can do in this particular instance is take the pivot of the door, and instead of being on the side of the door, or the vertex sort of in the side of the door, I'm going to grab the pivot, I'm going to do D and V, and snap it to the center of this hinge so that the door rotates perfectly around that hinge. What you can then do is take the hinge and actually just parent it to the door, so whenever you move the door, the hinge moves with it, and it's not breaking. You can see the hinge stuff stays lined up. And that works nicely because I have this little, thing in the middle of my geometry, this little vertex that I can just snap it to really easily. So if you set your models up in a way, like, cool, I'm going to have to maybe open this door later, you can make your life a little bit easier with geometry and pivots and all of that good stuff. But yeah, I really like doing door hinges. They're fun. That's actually pretty much my bit on pivots.